I mentioned a moment ago my grandfather and pride. I don't mean to mention him in a way that is disrespectful. I love the man. And I don't mean to mention him in a way that is unfitting. But pride is a primary thing that separates us from God. Go back to the book of Proverbs for a moment, see what the wise man has to say. Solomon in Proverbs chapter 16 and in verse 18 of that chapter says this: Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before the fall. Many a great man, many a great woman have fallen because of pride. Pride is just another way of branding stubbornness. It's very difficult. I think men have more problems with that than women, but that might be sexist of me and hard on my own gender. But I do believe that we can be the most stubborn creatures that God has ever created on the face of the earth. In Isaiah chapter 14, Isaiah talks about pride and how it is a tool of Satan. Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 12. Isaiah says, How are you fallen from heaven? Now, before I go farther, let me say this. Some people believe and teach that this passage is talking about Satan. It is not. Do not make that mistake. This passage is prophesying Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. It is prophesying that he is going to set himself up as an idol. God has elevated Nebuchadnezzar. He's allowed him to become powerful. Okay? And Nebuchadnezzar is going to abuse that power, and God is going to humble him. Okay? How are you fallen from heaven, O day star? King James Version says Lucifer, which means day star. Son of the dawn, how are you cut down to the ground, you who laid the nations low? You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. You see, Nebuchadnezzar in the book of Daniel, he destroyed every nation in his path. Most powerful man in the world. Until he made an idol of himself. And he began to think too highly of himself. And then God humbled him. It made him to eat grass like a cow. Made his hair to become like eagle's feathers and his fingernails like talons. He was put out from his own people, demented and crazy. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven above the stars of God. I will set my throne on high. I will sit on the mount of the assembly in the far reaches of the north. I will ascend to the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But you are brought down to Sheol, to death, to the far reaches of the pit. Those who see you will stare at you and ponder over you. Is this the man who made the earth tremble, who shook kingdoms, who made the world like a desert and overthrew its cities? Yes, it happened to Nebuchadnezzar. And yes, it can happen to us. You see, the thing is, human nature, and what Satan would have us to say, is I will, not thy will. Satan does not want us to say, thy will be done, yielding ourselves to the words of Jesus. But Satan wants us to stand tall and proud and say, I will on my own time. I will on my own level. Pride goeth before the fall, and a haughty spirit before destruction. I've been there. I know very well all too much about pride. And I know all too much about being stubborn. In 1 Peter, I want us to see what Peter says here. 1 Peter chapter 5. Peter's second general letter. First general letter. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 5. Peter says, likewise, you younger, be subject to the elders. Clothe yourselves, all of you, with humility towards one another. For God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Humility goes a long, long ways. Peter continues on. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that at the proper time he may exalt you, casting all your anxieties. See, sometimes I think we worry about things we have no control over. I got some blood work back this week, and sometimes I feel like a ticking time bomb, and then it creates stress in your life. The only thing normal about me is my glucose levels. Everything else is whoo. It's in God's hands. At this point, yes, I can do a certain amount, but it's in God's hands. Casting all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. Be sober-minded. Be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. I did a funeral for a young man who committed suicide. Very sad, sad time. But the theme of that funeral was this very verse. A lion does not prey on the weak necessarily. It doesn't prey on the old. It preys on the unsuspecting. Satan preys on those who least suspect it. Resist him, Peter says, firm in your faith, knowing that the same kinds of sufferings are being experienced by your brotherhood throughout the world.